May you find happiness and peace, and may your home stand the test of time.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary. Today I'll be reacting to Charlie Kirk give liberal students an education. So without further ado, let's get started.
Yes, but you said you have an issue with the government not representing the will of the people. So if you personally have an issue with that, then why do you support him if that is not the will of the people?
Right, so will and majority are two different things, right? So are we a democracy? You're not here. Are we a democracy?
Should we be?
No, but are we?
Why should we not be? Is that not a core fundamental point of American society?
No. Has democracy appeared anywhere in the Constitution?
I mean, that is genuinely a valid point. However, your point of the government should represent the people, why is it that democracy is not in the Constitution, or why is it that you believe that the will of the majority is not as important as the will of the minority if your issue specifically is the government should represent the people better?
Good question. So we believe in the Electoral College. Why? Because Kansas deserves a voice. Because Missouri deserves a voice. And it's the most important way I could distill it is the union we have is the states created it, the federal government didn't create it. So the kind of price of admission is every state gets 2 senators, congressmen based on population, and then electoral votes based on that population. So you kind of get a mix of both. And it's also this tension. And I would ask the question, if we abolished the Electoral College, do you think that the needs, wants, and interests of Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, North, South Dakota, Montana would be taken as seriously as New York and California? That would be my question to you.
Do you believe that some citizens are more valuable than others? Because in our current system, some people's votes hold more sway than others, because people in like Wyoming who have smaller populations have more say than places like here in Missouri and Kansas. Why is this acceptable if it's, again, your issue is the will of the people?
Because we're not a democracy. So a democracy is simple majoritarianism. So let me give you an example. In a democracy, by up or down vote, you could say, I want to enslave black people. A constitutional republic says, no, you're going to have to go through a process to do that. So let me ask you a question. Do you think the majority of the will of the people could ever be wrong?
Yes.
Okay. So the Founding Fathers knew it could almost assuredly be wrong, right? So the system of a republic versus a democracy is it has to be slow and arduous and intentional because it has a preference on liberty, right, not on free stuff. And so over a period of time, how do you best protect liberty? Well, you got to spread over all the representation over space and time, right? So you do it over a lot of states, a lot of square miles, a lot of acreage, and it takes a lot of time to take over the federal government, right? You have to win an election, and then an election, and an election. It's not impossible. We eradicated slavery. We gave women the right to vote. So it's possible to get change done. But the Founding Fathers were less concerned about getting progress done really quickly, and they were more concerned with the government doing bad stuff too quickly. Does that make sense?
But that is not what you said. You said that your specific problem is the government does not do the will of the people. Why is it that your will and what you want is more important than that of the majority?
Well, it's not my will. It's the framers and the system we have. But to answer your question, I believe the best way to determine the will of the people is through states' rights and states' directives. If Kansas wants to say, hey, we can have decentralized gun laws or school choice, God bless Kansas. And so the question is not, is national will also versus state will, right? So we have to recognize that the values of someone in Kansas, in Manhattan, Kansas, is a lot different than the values of someone in Manhattan, New York. It's a lot different. And so through a democracy, it'd say, hey, the people of New York City want to have firearms confiscated. I don't think that dog's going to hunt in Manhattan, Kansas. Well, Kansas State University, so I don't know. But it allows, answer your question, it allows people that disagree with one another to live in the same nation. You see, a Republican-style government, small r, allows people that might agree on almost nothing to still engage in self-government while still having a national project to participate in. So to clarify it even more, it is a question of the consent to the governed. If it was just a democracy, It would be an up or down vote on every single person, and that's it. The Founding Fathers saw that fail time and time again. Athenian democracy, people just vote themselves stuff. So they said, we have to have some sort of system that realizes that if men were angels, government would not be necessary, but men are not angels, so we got to create some sort of government. Federalist 51, as Madison said. So we got to figure this out. So government is necessary, but we don't want to have too big a government, and people are just going to vote themselves stuff all the time. So how do we do that? Well, local is better than national, but you got to have some sort of a national influence. And so they created the great balance between Jeffersonian and Hamiltonian type philosophy, as we know, is the U.S. Constitution. And the one thing they all agreed on, though, is human nature. They knew that absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that people were likely to abuse it. So I would just kind of counter by saying the will of the people can be best expressed through a multi-state project. For example, I believe an election is much healthier and much more representative by requiring candidates to go to Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and not just spending time on the coast. Because you know why? It might seem as if, oh, we don't need those flyover states. We don't need them. First of all, that's arrogant, prideful, and wrong. How exactly are you going to feed your family, and where do you think the breadbasket of the world comes from? The founders saw ahead, and final thing I'll say is this, is that it was Hamilton or it was Madison that said, we cannot have the tyranny of the cities over the farmers. And that's built into our system. Thank you for being here tonight. I got to get to the next question.
Okay, I love this so much. I feel like what he's saying is happening in Africa, is happening in Nigeria, whereby majority wins the vote. As far as everyone is saying, I want you, you win. You see, we're not thinking about, okay, and I think that is what our politicians are exploiting. You see, now they try to talk people into it, give them money to buy their votes, and when they're in power, they just switch and they become unreachable. You see, so I think it's good for each state to have the power, each state to be able to disagree. You see, instead of giving the power to just one person, okay, yeah, I'm the president, so I determine what happened everywhere. It depends. It's good for everyone to make their decision. So this state can be like, yes, I'm going for this person. This state can be like, no, I'm not going, or we want to do this way, and it works. You see, everyone have their say. Everyone can come up with whatever decision they want, and I think that is what we need to look out for, because sometimes the people are wrong. You see, because let's say the way democracy works is the highest vote wins. So let's say people from the northern part of Nigeria, I'm using Nigeria for example because I understand how their politics work. If they have the highest population, and people from southern part of Nigeria have a lower population, so if we do democracy the way we feel it should be done, then our leaders will always be from the north. Anyway, that's how it is. But the way it's been done is they broke it down in 4 different parts. They said, okay, Nigeria have 3 ethnic group. We have the Igbo, we have the Yoruba, we have the Hausa. So if this 4 years an Igbo man stand up for president, the next 4 years he cannot stand up for president. It has to go to the west. So the Yoruba need to get a political or a candidate that will represent them. Then the next 4 years it has to go to the north. The north will get a candidate that will represent them. I think that is the way to make it go round, instead of our normal style of democracy that it has to be from the north, because it's just be like, as long as we have more of the population, we'll keep on winning the seats every time, because it's democracy obviously. So the highest votes will surely win. And I think that is what Charlie is saying. He's saying everyone need to have their voice. You see, the fact that we are little in number does not mean you should neglect us because you feel like our vote will not count. So the fact that we are plenty does not also mean you should neglect us, because you see, so you need to meet everyone, talk to them, listen to them. What do you have? What do you want? What do you want us to bring to you? What ideology? What do you feel we need to do? And I think that is when it will work, because if we are going strictly by democracy, strictly by voting, it's not going to favor the full country. You see, people will start advocating that they want to break out. And I think that is anyway. I love this so much, and I love how they both debate, and how Charlie Kirk taught her, and open her eyes to see how politics really work. And I want to see more videos from them or from Charlie Kirk. If you have any recommendation, let me know in the comment section. It is the first time visiting the channel, click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and remain blessed.